the scientific and trigonometric values of functions. Absolute value, so that takes away the minus sign at the beginning. Power, so we can square it, in other words, multiply it by itself. We can cube it, multiply it again, so 3 times, or as many times as we want. So this is number.abs, number.power, square root, number.sqrt, slightly different functions you might be expecting. So that is the equivalent of power to the half. So 4 squared is 16, the square root of 16 is 4. And then exponent, logarithm, you know if you need them, whether you need to use e or logarithms. If you don't, you'll never need to know that it's exp or log 10 or ln. And then factorial, 5 factorial is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5. So I would say these first 3 much more often used than these last 3. Trigonometry, sine, cosines, tangent, arcsines, arccosines, and arctangents. I've never had to use them in real life, but if you need to use sin, cos, tan, asyn, acos, and atan, then they're all number dot functions. Rounding, you can round up, you can round down, or you can round to a multiple. So if I wanted to round up, that just rounds up to the nearest whole number. Rounding down will round down to the nearest whole number. But round dot dot dot, how many decimal places you want to round to? So let's say I multiply this by 1.1, or let's go for our example, 1.3, to get the dollars. So I've added a new column, but then I'm going to transform this column, so I'm not going to create yet another new column. And I could just round up, so let's take 57145.4 becomes 6, so it rounds up, or it can round down. So that just truncates it in this case. If there are negative numbers, then it'll go down to the next one, or I could just round. So with 0 decimal places, and in fact I'll just add a column to do this particular example. With 0 decimal places, you can see that if it is 0.5 or greater than 0.5, it rounds up. If it's lower than 0.5, it rounds down. If it is exactly equal to 0.5, well, it looks like it's rounding down. And this looks like it's rounding down as well, this one here. But if I go down a bit further, this one rounds up. So what actually happens is it rounds to the nearest multiple of 2. So you'll get an even number at the end. So above 0.5 rounds up, below 0.5 rounds down. 0.5 exactly, it rounds to the nearest even number. Now you could, if you wanted, not go to 0 decimal places, you could go to 1 decimal place, which in this particular example would keep us exactly where we were, or you could go to minus 1 decimal places. So that gets us to the nearest 10, or we could go to the minus 3 decimal places, that will get us to the nearest thousands. So the functions there are number.roundup, .rounddown, or .round. And then finally, and not often that you'll need this at all, is the information. So we have a question of, is it even? Is it odd? And what's the sign? That I suspect is used more than is even or is odd. I quite often use it in terms of using it with the absolute value. I want to know if it's negative or positive or 0. So that gives me a Boolean, a true or false value. So this is a quick whistle-stop tour through the number. There's nothing really earth-shattering in all of this. So the standards will allow for mathematical functions, scientific will allow functions like absolute, power, and square root, trigonometric are all to do with angles, rounding gets us to nearest whole number, or the one immediately above or one immediately below, or to nearest tenth or to nearest tens, and information is even, is odd, and sign.